Hey, it's Mirna from Trainer's Toolbox. Welcome to the Trainer's Toolbox podcast, a place where you can discover practical and effective tools and tips to make your workshops more insightful, engaging, and memorable. You are at the right place if you're looking to become the best trainer you can be and design truly impactful learning experiences. Ready? Let's dive in. Today it's an exciting episode for me because it merges my two big loves, working with trainers and facilitators on Trainer's Toolbox and working with positive psychology, which I normally do at Happiness Academy. So I'm really happy in this episode to merge these two fields. Now, our work as a trainer or facilitator can be highly meaningful and fulfilling work, but it can also be intense. There is so much to do, so many moving parts, and many times many different projects in parallel in totally different phases. So we work on design, we work on delivery, we work on keeping in touch with clients and understanding their needs better and developing those relationships. We keep follow-up in mind and seeing how to extend our impact out of the training room. And then very often we will also work on our business development. And then, of course, our own learning and self-development. So many bits of what we need to balance and juggle. And very often, well-being is one thing that slips out of focus in that whole juggling. Today, the focus of our episode is to bring that conversation back in. The second big challenge of working as a trainer is that we work with people so much. It's so many interactions, and more importantly, there's so many moments when we need to keep our emotions and energy in check, and when we even need to keep regulating the emotions and energy of the group. And that can be exhausting, and it can be a really dangerous thing because it literally often represents a ticket to burnout. Well-being, on the other hand, is one topic that is really important in the background of our work, but it's also one topic we don't talk about enough. I hope today's episode will give you some tangible ideas of how you can work on your well-being a little bit more and how can you make sure you protect that part of your work so your impact would be sustainable over long term. Now, with well-being, often one of the biggest challenges is that it's so untangible and vague. There is so much under that hood. When we say my well-being, it can be my emotions, it can be my focus, it can be even my health. There's so many parts under that. And one of the things that can truly help with approaching that topic better and finding the strong sides and the blind spots is just having a bit of framework. That's what I'm hoping to share with you today, a framework of 7 different things, maybe 8, of 7 different things you can take into account when you reflect on your well-being to recognize better what are maybe the parts that you can give more attention to and that deserve a bit more of your energy and effort. Now remember, as for all episodes, you can download the 1-page, well, usually 2 or 3 pages, brief summary of the main things I mentioned, so you don't have to remember this framework. If it's not a good time for you to journal and to really write down any notes on this, you can always fall back to that summary and then reflect a bit on the things shared also in journaling shape a bit later. Now, ready to start? Okay, the first thing that really helps you in your well-being is this one, knowing yourself a little bit better. And I know all of us as trainers are great at self-awareness, and we always think a lot about what can we improve, what can we get better with, how can we develop even more understanding ourselves better and knowing ourselves better. But here I really mean specifically in the area of well-being. How can we build more self-awareness of things that work for us and that sabotage us in terms of our well-being? So here's a little checklist of different aspects in which you can get to know yourself better. First, one thing you can really look into is maybe the most important thing. What are things that fill me up and what are things that drain me? And here I mean primarily energy-wise. So what are things that give me energy and help me sustain my energy? And what are the danger points that sometimes sabotage my energy? Here, really important part of conversation is also, am I more introvert or extrovert side in terms of how I recharge with the energy? Do I need to be mindful that I interact with people often enough, or the opposite, that I protect my alone time to actually sustain my energy and keep my energy going? Second one is more self-awareness of when do we need movement and are we moving enough? very often on the days of the workshops or the days of travel, maybe especially, or days if we have a lot of meetings or work more in virtual mode, the movement is really limited. And we want to keep in mind, hey, should I be moving more? When should I be moving more? How to maintain this enough of movement to sustain my energy and well-being. Then the next one is positive emotions. And this is simply a bit similar to fillers and drainers. What gives me positive emotions? And which positive emotions would I like to have more of? And how can I build space for that? And lately, in my work and in my life, am I experiencing enough of positive emotions? Or do I feel a little bit drained and maybe low in terms of my mood? Is there something that I can adjust and improve there? And I want to offer this 6 points list, and I will continue diving into it, but I want to offer this 6 points list as a space for you to reflect a little bit. Which of these 6 things do I need to get to know myself better in? Which of these 6 things might, in this period of my life or in my life in general, be a little bit of a weak link? So our point number 4 is my thinking patterns. When do I get negative about situations? What kind of thoughts maybe sabotage me? What in my thinking is supporting me? Where can I nourish mindset and thinking patterns that will be more beneficial for my well-being? Then number 5, what are my values? What is truly important to me? Now, this is one search that I believe most of us trainers and facilitators have done a lot of thinking about. But I do want to say really important thing here is, are we managing to truly live our values in our everyday work? Or did something there shift a bit? If we feel any level of dissatisfaction in our work, tiredness that's bigger than usual, or maybe some sense of non-congruency, non-alignment, really good place to go back to is our values, well, and our vision as well. And to just kind of touch on that and think, hey, if I know my values, or maybe what are my values if we never did that search, but if we did, hey, what were my values? How am I living them in my everyday work? Is there a mismatch somewhere? And then the last one is our strengths. So why are strengths important in well-being? You see, using our strengths, our natural talents more, is also a road to success and high performance. But also, when we use our natural strengths more in our work, in our life, that actually highly energizes us. It gives us a boost of energy. It sustains that energy much better. On the other hand, if we use learned skills a lot, and these learned skills we are really good at, but they're not our natural strengths, this will always be energy demanding for us. So we want to be aware. Where can we surf on our strengths and easily recharge in energy? And where do we actually have to invest energy because we need to invest learned skill that is not so natural for us? And mostly in our work, we want to seek to work more with strengths and not have to rely so much on things that we developed as kind of secondary skills that are important, but that are not our natural talents. Now, I'll give you just a moment to think from these 6 areas, which is one where you could get better with that one. Is it to be more aware of, number 1, your fillers and drainers? Is it number 2, to pay more attention to, are you moving enough on average day? Is it number 3, to have enough of positive emotions? Which positive emotions would you like to have more of? What would be easy ways to build that? And then also our thoughts and thinking patterns. Are you aware enough how they're influencing your well-being? When is your energy high because your thoughts fueled it, because you were positive or curious about something? And when was it low because of negative thinking patterns? And then finally, our values. Are you really connected with those values in your everyday work, not just in theory? And then finally, your strengths. How much are you using your strengths? I can give you an example of where this kind of self-awareness really helps me. And that is, I'm quite introvert in terms of how I recharge with an energy, and I need my alone time to actually fuel my energy. And this can be really challenging if I have a 2-day workshop or maybe 4-day retreat, like a tree house, where, well, more maybe on a workshop, because that's higher focus and more intense energy. But let's say on 2-day boot camps, like advanced facilitation boot camp, advanced storytelling that I do, or maybe train the trainer, which is longer online journey that ends with 2 live days that are very action-packed and very deep. So if I spend a whole day in these intense interactions where I also pay attention to the energy of the room and kind of pay attention to everyone in the group, that can be really, really draining for me. And I know by now that I have to plan an evening after such a day that I'm definitely alone, no socializing. It doesn't matter if I'm in a city where some of my closest friends live. Evening after workshop, no way, no socializing. And I know that I need to go move, for a walk or a bike ride or something like that, that I need to get outside and really get some movement. And honestly, after a full day workshop, I don't always feel like that. Sometimes I feel like curling with the book, and sometimes I'm naive and I plan, something, meeting someone. Maybe I plan that in advance. But in reality, by now, I know this pattern so well that I really try to, even when I think, oh, but I want to see my friends, that I'm really mindful to actually protect that time and to know what I need and to move and do what I need, even if I don't feel like it in that moment. Now, really great exercise to start developing more and more of this self-awareness. And honestly, I would expect you have a lot of this self-awareness already, but there is always more to unpack and more to discover. So an amazing exercise for that is one we call self-check-in. And I shared much more details and examples of how to do this exercise and how to build more self-awareness through it in podcast episode 19 about self-check-in. So maybe check that one out. We will link it also at the end of this episode and in the notes of this episode, so you can dive into there and also see how to work on that more. Now, let's move on. All other tips are a bit shorter and more straightforward and direct. So I hope this one was useful for you, but let's go to the next one. Tip number 2 is, when thinking about my well-being, one of the best, most powerful, easiest frameworks I can use is the same one that I personally use for energy management, and that's the one that splits it in 4 aspects. Physical, like physical well-being, emotional, so my emotional well-being, mental, and social. Let me touch on each of them briefly. Physical well-being simply means I keep a check on my sleep, how much movement I have, food, and ensuring that my body has a cycle of being invested and active and period of rest and relaxation. I want to ensure, well, in all aspects, but especially in physical, that there is this, full in, full out, that I'm not too much going too easy on my body and not moving enough, but also that I'm not exhausting myself physically. So this is really important one to establish to maintain that physical well-being. But then this can also be recognizing when we fall into survival mechanism, recognizing when we are nervous. Like, I love a question for myself to manage my physical well-being. When I get in any situation where I'm maybe stressed or tired, or I get grumpy, or I realize my focus is low, my go-to question is there something I need to manage in my biology first? Right? So am I just thirsty, hungry, tired, not moving enough, need few deeper breaths? Did I stop breathing because I got tense, because I got in this a bit of fight or flight mode? If I can, I should manage my biology first. It's a shortcut. I don't need to work on managing my thoughts and emotions and all that if it's question of biology. So it's a really good go-to question. Is this a biology level to manage? So you can really think about physical and your body as a base layer. If that fundamental layer, if that layer is not well nourished and stable, everything else gets harder. Then another layer of our well-being we want to manage is emotional. And that is just, which emotional tone am I bringing into things? How do I often feel? Do I often feel overwhelmed? Do I often feel grounded? Do I often feel happy and joyous? Do I often feel stretched or stressed or bored, underplaying my challenges and strengths? So the question is also, how often do I actually feel positive? And the idea is, it's not that we should always feel positive, that would not be natural. But what we know from positive psychology is that for us to feel like our life is good and like we are flourishing and we are satisfied in our life, we should be experiencing positive emotional states roughly 2 to 3 times more often than negative emotional states. That will make us feel, hey, our life is actually good, we are actually doing well. So you want to be really mindful of what that ratio is. And sometimes for a shorter period of time, if you're not sure what that ratio is, because it's hard to notice when we are in some mood, is that an average or how often does it show up? You might want to do simple mood journal for mood log, for a week, and just be noticing, how do I feel on average morning? How do I feel on average afternoon? What's happening with my emotions? And of course, if you notice something is off there, that's something where we want to develop through a gentle journey and not like fix, I need to feel better fast. But first, what we want to develop is more self-awareness and noticing what the weak links might be. Now, in the emotional part, there is also an important bit that's about, do we feel sense of meaning? And sense, do we have some sort of why, some sort of vision? That is really, really important to keep our energy going. So that's also one thing to question. And by the way, if you feel like your vision got a bit blurry or your sense of meaning is not as sharp as it used to be, there are two places where I also support you in working this out. One of them is Treehouse, the retreat for trainers, where in 4 days of deep immersion in beautiful forest environment with a small group of trainers, we dive into your vision and a bit of reinventing yourself and your habits and your energy as a trainer. So that's one place where, if you feel that this emotional bit and vision, or there is a bit of boredom, if this is the weak part, that's one place where you can join me to explore this deeper. The other one is Life Design, which is simple workshop of 3 hours where we really drill into what is your vision for the next period of your life. And we do that in a very structured and smart process that will definitely give you more clarity and motivation over that. Now, moving on to the mental. Mental well-being is all about your cognitive load, your focus. How many open loops do you carry? How many open tabs are in your brain? That's a really good question. So mental well-being is about feeling to a certain level grounded and focused and composed and sharp and with clarity in our thinking. It's the opposite from feeling overwhelmed, from feeling like our attention span is really short and we keep jumping from one thing to another. So in mental well-being, we really want to recognize how mental fatigue can happen really easily in our type of work, when we work with our brain and with our mind a lot. And then we need to build good habits to learn to recharge this aspect of our well-being. Mental well-being is strongly connected to clarity, to priorities, and to having fewer unnecessary decisions, to having more habits, more automation, more smart rituals and habits to ensure we bypass constant decision making and constant need to think and overthink. And now the final one is our social well-being. And this is about the quality of our relationships. Do we feel supported enough? Do we engage with the right people who actually recharge us instead of drain us? And do we engage with them with the right amount of interaction? Or are we pressing too much on interacting too often, being social more than we have actually capacity for? Or the opposite, disconnecting from people too often and not really connecting in a meaningful way enough for us to feel recharged. Now, check-in question for you is, which of these 4 do you feel that right now is one that's a bit of a weak link in your well-being? Is it that physically you feel that often you're drained or overwhelmed or in stress response? Is it that mentally you feel too challenged or under-challenged, a bit bored or with short attention span, overwhelmed or stressed by too many decisions, or too often that you have to engage your willpower, or too hard to keep your focus going? Or maybe in emotional, you feel that there is lack of sense of meaning, or maybe lack of some meaningful stimuli and lack of positive emotions in general and positive states. Or maybe is it in social, that you're spending too much time interacting with people or too little time interacting with people in a meaningful way. Now, I definitely want to invite you to reflect on these 4. These 4, from everything I'm listing today, are maybe a really good entry point, the starting point to unpack what is happening within your well-being. What are the areas that you can work on? And you can think about them on 2 levels. one of them right now, today, in which of these four do I feel a little bit stretched? Do I feel a little bit not at my best? Which one can I recharge a bit and replenish a bit? The second version is to also think about big picture of your life. What is happening for me in my life right now and in general, and what are my tendencies? In which of these areas do I tend to keep my energy going well and my well-being? And in which of these four do I tend to actually drain it a bit or underplay it or neglect it in some way? I do want to invite you, if it feels like well-being is a meaningful topic for you to work on, and especially these four aspects as well, and working on your vision and rituals that support your well-being, I do want to invite you to check out the Treehouse, so-called learning getaway or retreat for trainers and facilitators, when we meet in a beautiful forest in Croatia for 4 days to really immerse ourselves in meaningful reflection and exchanges with a small group of other trainers and learning of many different tools related to our vision, rituals, habits, including a bit of well-being as a trainer. So if you feel like it's time for you to create that space to recharge and think and refocus on what is most important in your well-being right now and over the long term, that would be a great place to join me. You can check the details on the link in the description of this episode, or you can always get in touch. The easiest way is through LinkedIn or by replying to any of the Trainers Toolbox newsletters. Let me know you're curious about it, you're considering it, and I'll be happy to share more, to jump on a short call and talk you through the event and see if that's the right match for you. Now, speaking of that, one of the important topics that we cover there and that I would recommend you to pay attention to in your own well-being is the rituals. Basically working on your vision and then on your habits and rituals. Why do I pack these two together? On one side, our vision is something huge and a really big picture of our thinking, while our habits and rituals are everyday small things that we are doing. Well, that's exactly the point. For our well-being to work really well, we need to have both, and they need to be in alignment. And very often it's challenging to hold both of these ways of thinking at the same time. Very often we are more of a visionary, where we are a big dreamer, we have big ideas, we want to do everything, but then we don't focus so much on micro steps of maintaining our habits and rituals in our everyday life. Or the opposite, we are a creature of routine, we are very practical, we are very down to earth, we focus a lot on building good habits, we manage well our day and short span of time, but we don't connect so much to our vision. Ideally, we want to bridge both. We want to take the time to develop that vision and also take the time to work out those rituals. Why is this so important for trainers and facilitators? Because your well-being isn't just about what do you do when you're exhausted. Your well-being is about much more than that. It's also about what excites you, what's meaningful to you, what is pulling you forward, what is helping you grow, what is motivating you, what is creating energy and excitement in you. And that's where the vision starts, right? That's where the vision takes you. And at the same time, it's also about that clarity of what truly matters to you. Clarity that will help you prioritize sense of meaning and prioritize important thing in your work. Because when we have clear vision, then we can build habits and rituals that are truly about protecting and prioritizing what matters the most. And that's the goal of aligning vision and habits and rituals. To know what we want, what we need, and what we want to create, and to build everyday mechanisms, systems, little habits to really support that, so it doesn't get flaky, so we don't lose it out of our focus, but that we really put the things that matter in the center of our life. Now, I can share with you 2 quick actions. They're not so quick, but I'll share them quickly. 2 actions that I do that help me to work on my own vision and habits. Maybe they're useful for you too. So one thing I like to do to maintain that visionary mode is 2 times per year, I do a little self-retreat with myself. I take roughly 2 days. Usually I connect them with some of the travels And usually it's going to be like in November and June or July, just because that works for me, but it's more creative than that. Sometimes it will be in May when it's my birthday. It's a bit fluid, but it's twice per year that I take at least one full day, or ideally 2 days or day and a half, to go to a beautiful place, really pick a place that inspires me, something that is visually stimulating and beautiful, that's calm and quiet, but also with something that gives me inspiration. It can be very different place. I'll give you examples. Sometimes it's Croatian seaside and a beautiful quiet island. Other times it's places like Zaragoza or Florence, or every time it's a bit of a different place. Or small cities in Italy, which is kind of close to Croatia, so easy for me to get to and claim that space for myself. And in this day and a half or two, I just play with dreamer mode and planning and vision. And I do map that vision into specific plan and habits at the end, but I really look to explore through many different questions. By now I have many workbooks I developed for myself of different questions. What am I building? What do I want? What matters to me? And I start from empty space. If everything was possible, what would I do? And then I strongly connect it to what is there and how do they connect, and what are my current state in my life and what should I adjust and how to connect the two. And then a second thing that I do that's totally unrelated, but that's more on the side of habits and rituals, is this year I'm playing with this idea of 30-day challenges, where each month I pick, and this is just this year, that would be intense to always do it, but I realize there are several habits I want to develop and that I keep sabotaging them by trying to do all of them at the same time. So I decided to space them out through the year. Every month, put one habit in the spotlight, really pay attention that I keep doing it for 30 days. And then next month, as I pick up a new 30-day challenge of something new, to still continue this one going. So it's not 30-day experiment or just a way to boost something for 30 days. It's really using 30-day challenges as a way to kickstart new habits. If you're curious and more about that, I would be happy to share more on that in another podcast episode. So ping me on LinkedIn or through Trainers Toolbox newsletter. You can reply to it to get directly to my inbox. Let me know you would be curious about these habit building and 30-day challenges, and I'll be happy to share more in another podcast episode. Now, another place, of course, where we do this is a treehouse. That's where I build the same space for you. It's a beautiful space with a beautiful energy and with a beautiful people joining. So I do want to invite you one more time to consider joining me for this year or in any of the upcoming years, because it's one event that will stay for the years ahead, but it is also a little bit reinvented every year. In 2026, it's going to be all about vision and rituals and rebuilding that side of our work and existence, and it's going to be happening in June. Now, I do want to invite you on your rituals and vision for a moment to think, when and how regularly do you work on your vision? And how often do you actually take a moment to be intentional and redesign your habits and rituals? If not often enough, claim that time for yourself in any shape that suits you. It could be a treehouse, it could be a retreat with yourself, it could be time with your best friend where you work on that, or business bestie, whatever. But do claim that time. Don't let it slide away, because when we get really far off course, it's really hard to get back on course. So we really want to take regular time to tune in, even if that vision is clear, regular time to reconnect with it. Or if it is not clear, taking time to keep developing that clarity. Because the main thing that clarity needs is space. It's also right energy, right way of being, right set of questions and structure. All of these matters. But ultimately, the space for it is what truly, truly matters the most. Okay, ready for our number 4? I'm mixing up many things here, I know. I hope you managed to follow through. Remember, you can always grab one-page summary as well. I'm mixing them up on purpose because I want you to really scan through these different areas of your life and work and well-being and pinpoint from this a bit random list of many things, hey, this is one I need to dive in deeper. This is one I want to work on. This is one that will truly make a difference for my well-being. So please take it as such, not as an eternal list of too many things you should work with, but as a mix and match that will help you pinpoint which one is it for you. Now, the fourth one is flow, the state of flow, one of the most amazing state that we can enter as humans, the optimal quality of our existence, the optimal state, optimal experience of life is the experience of flow. No wonder that huge part of positive psychology is diving very deep into flow, myself included. I actually did my master's thesis on Masters of Applied Positive Psychology on the topic of how can we train for flow, how can we build more flow for others. I am really passionate about this topic. But today, what I want to invite you is to claim more of flow for yourself, because it will serve so much your well-being and also your performance and your results. Now, to tune back a bit on that, what is actually flow? Flow is that state of being in the zone, state of deep involvement, when we feel deeply immersed in an activity we are doing, fully present, fully engaged. And it usually happens when we're working on something that we perceive as difficult. So it's not a lazy state, working on something difficult, but worthwhile. I dove in much deeper into this, what is the right stage and right environment for flow, how to build that foundation that will support flow to happen. But in episode 15 of podcast, I talked about it from perspective of how can you support your learners to enter more flow. So do check that out for your learners as well, but maybe also check that episode and really think, how can I harness this for myself? How can I create the same conditions for myself? So you might want to check episode 15. I will link it in the description and at the end of this episode. But remember to check that episode from two different lenses. One of them, building more flow for my learners, because it's an amazing state for learner. And second one, building more flow for myself in my life and in my work. Now, flow is important because it's a state that merges two most important aspects of well-being. On one side, it gives us deep sense of meaning because it's related to us working on a meaningful goal. But on the other hand, it comes with many positive emotions within that state or after we exit that state. So it's also very closely connected to performing on our best. It's connected to deep focus, to clarity, to enjoyment. So do, at the end of this episode, go check out episode 18 or at least bookmark it for later and dive deeper into flow. It's one of the best topics from positive psychology and one topic everybody should dive in deeper. Okay, now after these beautiful topics of flow and rituals, now let's tackle one that's not so much fun. Now, our fifth foundation of our well-being is one everybody knows they should work on, but nobody is really excited about it, and that's our boundaries. Keeping our boundaries are a core well-being skill. Everything that you do that is good for your well-being will not withhold, will not sustain if you also don't protect it through your boundaries. So really important work. I'm not going deeply into this topic today. It's a big topic to tackle. But I do want to say, within boundaries, there are two aspects that we want to pay attention to. One of them is knowing our boundaries, recognizing, and this is very connected with point number one, where I talked about knowing your fillers and drainers and our values and our strengths and all these bits of self-awareness. So really important part is knowing our boundaries, recognizing when should we set boundaries, recognizing when did I overstretch myself in some direction? When did I overstep my boundary? And how can I not repeat that mistake? So first thing, knowing them. Second thing, communicating them, learning how to communicate them in an assertive way, maintaining relationships while still protecting all the things related to our well-being. Boundaries also help us protect flow because interruptions and distractions in the end are the biggest enemy of flow. Now, a little check-in on boundaries and having them show up in a trainer's world. Wonderful example of how well do we protect our boundaries is how able are we to protect our energy and space during a break in a training. You know, if you have that situation, you have a full day training, you're a little bit lower on your energy today. Training has been already intense so far, or facilitation has already been intense so far. And then you have a break and it's not very long and you really want to use it to recharge it. And you have a participant stepping in and asking you like some extra questions and like taking up the whole of the break space. How do you set your boundary there? That's a great test. Should you work on your boundaries, or are they working well? Now, the last one, or the sixth one, sorry, we have 7, even 8, so not the last one yet, but the sixth one of our foundations is playing with seasons in our life and work. Now, I will not enter deep into this topic because it's a huge topic, but I am cooking up a new podcast episode about seasons and cycles. And honestly, it's such an exciting and beautiful topic. I hope you will consider diving deeper. For today, I just want to throw in this question. Are you considering different seasons and different natural cycles in your work? And how much are you incorporating them in the way you function? And by seasons, I mean we can really think about 4 seasons of the year, like winter, spring, summer, autumn. Each of them comes with very different energy, with very different flavor, with very different thing it invites us to do naturally, with very different capacity as well. And that's something that we can fight and struggle against, or something that we can really harvest and surf on and use and leverage the specific strengths and energies of different seasons to fuel our work and our well-being. And it's similar with many other cycles, from day and night and knowing our chronotype and the peak of our energy in a day, to also sort of a cycle of a week and understanding how different days align with different energies for us, to our hormonal cycle as well. So very different ways that we can play into cycles and seasons to really leverage them and using them. And these are really something to reflect on. First of all, do you even recognize the seasons? And what kind of seasons does your life and work and year revolve around? Do you even incorporate them? Do you even recognize them at all? Do you fuel them a little bit? Or do you just ignore them or even struggle against them? And then the second reflection question, when are you naturally in some phase like action or interaction, and when do you need space to recharge or create? Is that cycle of action and recharge like well balanced in your life? And seasons, again, I'll do a new podcast episode on that topic as well, but it's also one of the favorite exercises from the Treehouse, one where we explore the seasons in our life and our work. And you would be surprised how many insights we get through this framework about where are we aligned, where is our energy really high, and where we feel enthusiastic and recharged in our work, and where and when are we draining ourselves because it's blind spots we didn't even consider. Now, our foundation number 7 of our well-being is just cultivating more of positive emotions and thinking. And I know I already mentioned several times positive emotions, but I really considered them previously from the perspective of recognizing them and self-awareness and knowing what's there for you. But here I really want to give a bit of an attention to cultivating consciously positive emotions and thinking. And after this foundation, 7th one, officially last one, I'll still share one foundation as a little bonus. But before that, let's still explore this one. With positive emotions and positive thinking, we want to really think, how much are we fueling and cultivating gratitude? How much are we fueling and gratitude positive emotions in our life, and also positive thinking and optimism? And honestly, from my experience, many trainers are really strong with that. So maybe you don't have a lot to change there. But also, cultivating gratitude and self-compassion especially, that's one where maybe trainers and facilitators often lack a bit more of self-compassion, being gentle to ourselves, and also strength-oriented approach to really pay attention to build on strengths and not on being overly focused on fixing weaknesses. So I do want to invite you to think, which of these should I be cultivating a bit more? Should I be cultivating a bit more gratitude? If so, a really simple and powerful exercise is to daily journal on 3 to 5 things we are grateful for in that day. Ideally done in the evening, ideally stretched over at least 4 weeks, but it's like 1-minute exercise to nourish that gratitude mindset and also to sustain more positive emotions. If you feel, on the other hand, like you could nourish more self-compassion, because you're a little bit on the self-critical side, you like to be harsh in feedback to yourself, I would say start with the question, what would I say to my best friend in this situation? To a friend who I recognize their flaws, I know what they did suboptimally, but I also care about them. I recognize their strengths, I accept them with their flaws. How would I give feedback to them and how would I talk to them versus how am I talking to myself, and cultivating that way of self-connection and self-relationship and self-talk that's more aligned to what we would say to dear friend. So not all super perky, super optimistic, positive things only. No, honest, vulnerable, caring, warm, and with good intention. And then finally, with a strengths-based approach, we might want to just think a little bit more, where am I too much focused on giving myself feedback of what I need to improve, and where can I actually leverage a little bit more things that I'm already doing well. And then finally, our foundation number 8, one we didn't mention that much, but one more thing that can highly influence our well-being is just having more support by surrounding ourselves with our tribe, by keep learning and exchanging with others. It's very often in our work as a trainer or facilitator, that's quite a solitary work. It's easy to end up in our own bubble. We have a lot of interactions with participants, but do we have also interactions with other trainers and facilitators that offer us motivation, inspiration, learning, support, a meaningful mirror for where should we grow, and much more. This is where events such as Treehouse, which is really built around community and exchange and connecting with others, or small, cozy, closely knit and warm and deep communities built around meaningful conversations, such as trainers' conversations, can be really strong support system. They're communities where we keep learning, we keep exchanging, we keep supporting each other. At the same time, Treehouse is a space to recharge and rethink and redesign our vision, but ultimately they're both spaces to deeply connect and support each other and exchange with others and build that close circle of our best cheerleaders, supporters, but also our challengers in a meaningful and positive way. So I do want to invite you, if you feel like the next step in your growth would be to strengthen that closely knit community around you, to consider joining me on the Treehouse for 4 days of immersion in meaningful conversations and exchanges while building your vision and habits, or to join me for Trainers Conversation, a year-long community of trainers that runs primarily online, that's very small, up to 20 of us, that is closely knit and is really built about sustainable long-term growth, well-being, and meaningful conversations. Now, while Treehouse happens hopefully every year, for now that's the plan, in 2026 is the second time it's happening, Trainers Conversations happen every year, but they always start at the beginning of the year, and it's a membership that goes throughout 1 year. So right now, depends when you're listening to this, signups are open only in November, but all the time before that, it's the right time to sign up for a waiting list, because when signups open, it tends to get crowded pretty fast. So to protect your spot, you might want to sign up for a waiting list without any obligation to be among the first ones to know when the signups will open. Now, let's look at all that we covered today, and I want to invite you to reflect with several questions. First, which of these foundations do you currently do well? Let's start with congratulating ourselves for things that are working out already. Second, which is your weak spot right now? And third, what is one small change you will make this week? Yes, this week already. So I will not go detailed in each of them. I'll just name them briefly again. You can always take a screenshot of this screen as well if you're on YouTube with me, or you can download the one-page brief summary where you will find this summary as well. But whatever you do, do take that moment to reflect, because if you have just been, listening and getting some ideas, but if you do nothing with them, we know it will not mean a lot. So do take that moment to really reflect on your own well-being. The 7 foundations were: number 1, get to know yourself better in the areas of all the different aspects: feelers, drainers, values, strengths, emotions, introversion, extroversion, all of these. Then number 2, check in with the 4 aspects of your well-being: physical, mental, emotional, and social. Which of these is fueling your well-being? Which of these is a weak link at the moment? Then ensure you protect that space to build your vision, habits, and rituals. If you haven't managed to protect it, join me at the treehouse. That's your space. Number 4, harness flow for yourself. And a reminder here to check episode 15 to dive in deeper into flow. Number 4, work on your boundaries to protect all of this good stuff. Because if you don't have a boundaries, it's a bunch of hole through which your well-being is leaking and being sabotaged. Number 6, incorporate seasons in your work and life more. And then number 7 was cultivate your positive emotions and thinking a bit more consciously. And then number 8, support your community. Get support from community, leverage that support others, because that drives sense of meaning as well. Keep building that meaningful exchanges and learning. Now, I hope this gave you many ideas to dive into your well-being and to really boost it up. And if not, Treehouse might be the right place for you. I also am there to support you with this in form of one-on-one work. I do that online in sessions of 90 minutes, and I also do it in VIP day format, where we meet in your location, assuming that's one of the places where I'm often, and we spend a whole day working on your well-being, vision, goals, whatever you want to work on, skills, and so on. So if you're curious about that, I will also link that into this podcast episode. But as always, the best time and way to reach me is through LinkedIn or by replying to any of Trainers Toolbox newsletters. What do you say? You're not on Trainers Toolbox newsletter yet? You need to be there. I'm sending you a weekly newsletter with news about events, but also with many tips, tools, materials to make your life and work as a trainer more productive, more enjoyable, more impactful. So definitely join me there. Sign up is also in the links of this episode. You might want to bookmark this episode because it's one that's so packed you might want to listen to it again, and I do want to invite you to share it with someone you think it would be really effective for them. So it's not so much about, just spread the word. Really think, who would benefit of this topic from my circle, from my colleagues, from my friends, and send the link to them. It will make their day, and it will give you a bit of, positive boost of doing something good for someone else. Thank you for joining me in this marathon episode today. I'm really looking forward to the next one. And I have many dilemmas between the topics to cover next. Too many ideas, too little time. So let me know which topic would you really like me to do an episode on, and I will be happy to take that into consideration. Wish you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you for exploring this topic with me. I hope you found some exciting ideas and valuable tools that you will use already today. Remember, they only work if you put them in practice. But then they make all the difference. If you enjoy Trainers Toolbox podcast, do leave a rating and review. It does mean a lot. And if you haven't done it yet, click on the links in the episode descriptions and discover free materials and valuable resources to dive in deeper. See you in the next episode or at Trainers Toolbox newsletter.